Well, hello. I'm Steve Flavelle. Good to speak to you. Thanks for taking the time to have a look at my video there. I've been a pharmacist for the last 30 years and owned Woody Point Pharmacy for the last 17 years. During that time, I've made a whole stack of different features and different programs that realistically have really made a massive difference to my business. I'd be keen to take those into a much greater scale, influencing other pharmacies right across the country if I can find a software provider that's interested in utilising my services. So here we are. Okay, so if I can just give you a bit of a demo of some of the different things that I've done, then we can see what you think, okay? Okay, so a couple of different things before we start off, a bit of housekeeping. No patient confidential material is used in this report. I do use a fictitious patient called John Citizen, who is no resemblance to anybody real, past or present. Okay, no reference to any particular software is used. In fact, as a programmer working for almost any dispensing software provider, I could provide these solutions to whichever software employer contracted me to do so. These are my systems, and I've built them without any assistance whatsoever from any third party. And I have no endorsements for any other party. Okay, so very quickly, I just want to show you a couple of my favourite things that have been useful, what we had before, what went wrong, and how I've fixed it. So this is a standard delivery register that I was quite proud of when I first had my pharmacy there. It had all the different bits and pieces there, and I thought it'd be great. Problem is we still had inconsistencies with our deliveries and lots of different dramas. So we did a bit of a SWOT analysis on the deliveries, and basically we found that deliveries were just taking far too long to repair. They were taking about half a day. They were taking far too long to actually do. The delivery driver didn't even know who needed to pay and who's got an account and who doesn't, even though we've got that section there. But whoever prepared the deliveries would inevitably forget to go and write that person's got an account. So there's human error happening every time, and it was driving us nuts. The delivery driver had no method of contacting the customer, because often customers would be having a sleep out the back and not noticing that somebody's banging on the door. The delivery driver would have to call the pharmacy and then get the pharmacy to call him, which would be really bad. And as we've had happen as well, what if the delivery driver, who's used to his standard delivery run, gets sick, quits, and leaves us with absolutely no idea of what delivery order to do our 20 plus deliveries. So that's considered some massive dramas and how I actually approach that. So contacting the customer is obviously a drama. We also had dramas with who doesn't need a delivery each week. So basically the delivery driver would come along and say, what about John Citizen? Don't we usually do a my pack for him every week and deliver it? All of a sudden everybody would be stopping what they're doing, racing around trying to find John Citizen's my pack, to the point that we're potentially creating another my pack thing, whatever. All to find out that they've already picked it up because they happened to go to the doctor's surgery the day before. That was created lots of hassle, angst and stress for lots of all of our team members. We also had the embarrassment, of course, of having to go and ring up John Citizen from time to time and say, did you already pick up your pack? Not a good look, and certainly not a good idea if we're talking about delivering morphine. Working out who needed to pay, customers tend to sort of go, chuck it on the slate, mate, where they actually don't have a slate, so to speak. Certain customers do have accounts, but not all customers are considered trustworthy, and those people don't get accounts. Unfortunately, those people try to get accounts and try to pay for it next week and then the next week after. So $30 accumulates to $60, accumulates to $90 before I even know about it, and then, of course, they pack up and go to another pharmacy. This results in lost time, productivity for all those things. We lose money, we end up losing the customer because we have to force them to pay $90, and overall lost revenue for the pharmacy. Not to mention the overall solution about, we have to be nice to that delivery driver because what if he gets sick or quits, which is a potential nightmare. Okay, so obviously I needed to come up with a solution. and this is an excellent idea. The idea of me going through this step by step fairly quickly is to at least give you some insight in the way that I actually do my programming, what leads me to the solutions that I actually create in my pharmacy, and the way that things go. So I'll demonstrate several of my different enhancements as we go, but with this particular one I'm doing the full SWOT analysis rather quickly to show you exactly the thought processes in my mind that's making me come up with the ground floor, grass level roots solutions that programmers mightn't necessarily deal with because they're not actually dealing with it every day. In fact, that's my main point of difference, is the fact that being a pharmacist as well as a programmer, I can actually go and create systems that nobody else has even thought of, somewhat like this. So I create solutions that rapidly identify areas that require my attention, that enable me to offset tasks to other team members efficiently with minimal effort on my part on a daily basis, reliably, minimizing mistakes like I was talking about as far as the how much should customers pay, and reducing stress for me so that I can go home and sleep at night peacefully. So as a result, I created a program that automatically prints up the delivery register, which is what we've got right there. You can see some similarities, of course, with the original delivery register that people that either use labels to go and stick their things on, but this covers several other aspects, which is much more comprehensive and gives us a more complete solution. Let's quickly go through those. To start with, what we need is a delivery register where we actually know which is the most recent one, because we can, if we end up printing a second copy, it can be very confusing as far as which delivery register are we going on. Well, this obviously prints up the time and date and the number of pages. Now, this isn't something that necessarily a programmer might think about, but it is critically important to actually make sure that's in there. We've still got our commencement time and completion time because the programmer it may not be thinking about things like QCPP accreditation, and I know all about that kind of stuff. So I end up with a QCPP compliant thing with the most recent print up used. So I've got a very reliable system where there's no need to cross-check various prints for accuracy, and I've got total confidence in the system. So let's handle our SWOT analysis one by one, shall we, and see if we can come up with solutions. Love that transition slide, looks really cool. Rightio, okay, so let's have a look at that delivery register a little bit further. So one of the issues that we had there was contacting the customer. At the moment, our software provider with the address label does not allow us the capability of putting in a person's mobile number unless we individually go and put that in as a comment or something like that, or handwrite it in. So basically what happens as a result is that never gets recorded, and if the person is sleeping out the back or whatever like that, the delivery driver has to call the pharmacy to then find the number for John Citizen. The pharmacy calls John Citizen and says, "Can you please answer the door, because the delivery driver's been waiting 10 minutes for you to wake up." So that's obviously not acceptable. It's much easier and much simpler, much smarter to actually have a delivery register that's got their mobile number and phone number right there and handy, because that way that prevents missed deliveries, because where we couldn't deliver something because we thought that they weren't there where they were just having an afternoon nap. It would save unnecessary deliveries, because when John Citizen rings up and say, "Hey, why didn't you deliver my stuff?" we would turn around and say, "Well, we knocked on the door, but you didn't answer." "Oh, I was having a nap. So can you re-deliver it? And if you don't, then I'll take my business somewhere else." So it also saves phone calls to the pharmacy by the delivery driver, and saves the staff that are doing their best to deal with the pharmacy rather than worry about deliveries as we go. It also reduces customer phone calls with John Citizen say, "Hey, look, where the hell is my delivery? What is the go there?" So something as simple as having the mobile phone number there is something a programmer may not well have thought of, but of course I did. And so as a result, I have now solved that problem. Okay, so let's look at what else in our SWOT analysis that I've gone and done with my programming skills to actually go and make things work. So the next thing was an issue about who needs to pay versus who has an account. Unfortunately, we can't count on the honesty of strangers or even our customers. So some customers, as you can see, have got standard monthly accounts, and some people have got temporary accounts and things like that. Some people have even got their credit card on file. So these are grayed out. So it's all very so as a result, it's printed up very clearly, and there's no point of not sure what the where the delivery driver is. If the delivery driver is told, "Oh, just chuck it on my slate, I'll pay it next week." Well, obviously for this person, we can see quite clearly they don't have a slate. They actually need to pay whatever is written in that field. All the other fields are grayed out, so that person, the delivery driver, can quite confidently go and deliver the medication without any hassle at all, because they have the confidence of knowing that that person has got a standard monthly account, that one's got a credit card on file, and that's a Centerpay client. You notice there that I've got that in red. That's a highlight to me to say, hey, look, they haven't even got a delivery temporary account even set up. So I better go and make sure I do that, because otherwise there's no method of the recording of the delivery happening there. There's just scripts sitting on the till, which certainly isn't good enough. Okay, so we've got full customer account integration there, which saves a lot of confusion, saves lost dollars. It saves phone calls to the pharmacy by the driver, and it reduces customer phone calls and subsequent complaints. Because realistically, one thing I'll tell you right now, which is really bad, is if you've got a customer that you've had for the last 17 years and you've got a new delivery driver, or a new, and they, and we're talking about $50 or $100, and he says, chuck it on my slate, and the delivery driver says, oh, I don't know whether you're allowed to do that. So as a result, we've just had to we've made sure that that system actually copes for that quite well. So now we've got a clear indication the customer needs to pay, because we've got full integration there. I've got a clear indication that that person doesn't have a debtor group or anything like that, so I need to go and pull my finger out and make that all happen. Okay, so what about the issue where the delivery driver comes in and says, hey, look, what about John Citizen? Have we forgotten about his regular delivery? Well, the good thing is we simply alter the patient records, where we actually go and record that there's been a delivery there, from delivery Friday to delivery not required, and then as a result we end up the person's still on the delivery register, but then the delivery driver can see, oh, it's been it's already been taken up, whatever the case might be. And I use a bit of simple conditional formatting to grey that delivery out. So that's basically no knowledge of code is required by the team in any way, shape or form, and no handwritten notes are required there. Realistically, even if that whole delivery register is either lost or needs to be added to so much that a whole new print needs to be done, that because that recording has been done, you can go right ahead and not worry about any crossed out alterations which we no longer permit, because now we can print out a brand new delivery register just before we go and know that it's exactly right. So the end result, as we can see, you can see in this particular case here, we were going to be delivering a pack 1 and pack 2, so to speak, but for whatever reason the delivery's been cancelled because we have a delivery not required service. You can see it's been greyed out. It would have the patient name there, and so when it comes to our regular delivery driver saying what the go is, then he knows, don't worry, the delivery has been cancelled. There's no need to have a big hullabaloo in the pharmacy. A regular programmer would have absolutely no idea of how much of a hassle that can actually be in store. There's no crossed out deliveries or notes or anything like that we need to worry about, because we actually edited it straight within our dispensary software. There's no confusion about who requires a delivery this week. It saves staff running around, either remaking packs or remaking medication. It saves embarrassing phone calls to the patient saying, "Hey, John, did you happen to already pick up your pack or whatever the case might be?" And then he says, "Yes, I was there yesterday." and it also prevents customers getting 2 deliveries for the price of 1. Because if we were thinking, oh well, maybe we haven't, I'm not sure where it's gone. Let's quickly just go and give him another box of a Moxil or whatever the case might be. May not be so bad if it's a Moxil, but it could be a big deal if it's, say, morphine, in which case we will be talking to APRA. Okay, so now we've gone and solved 2 significant issues with regard to that, we've even got worked out who doesn't need a delivery this week. So that only leaves us with one more thing, is that being the potential nightmare of what to do if the delivery driver packs up and quits on us. Thanks, son. That's happened to me. So what if the delivery driver does bugger off? Well, guess what? You can see these little codes here. That's because I've used some interesting algorithms to go and work out the delivery times that has been specified over the last 3 months, to then work out quite clearly and consistently what is the best delivery route. So even if our regular delivery driver does bugger off, then we've got no hassle whatsoever. Somebody that's got absolutely no knowledge of their way around Redcliffe can know the specific order as far as making it such that they turn left more than they turn right, that they not crossing across Oxley Avenue as much as possible, because it'll involve long delays, and those deliveries, instead of taking 5-6 hours, can go back to taking about, say, 2.5. Now that makes a big difference when it actually comes down to pre-calculating that, because it saves confusion with the order of the deliveries there. It saves complaints from customers, because what tends to happen is customers get used to the deliveries coming at a certain time. They start ringing us up and saying, why the hell have I not got my delivery yet? It's quite embarrassing when we've got a new delivery driver and we just have to go, well, I don't know, we don't know what the delivery driver route is, so I hope that you'll be getting it soon. That causes a lot of unnecessary worry to the customer and stress. It makes phone calls for the team trying to navigate 20 plus deliveries. Frankly, I've been in that situation where I've had to do those 20 odd deliveries and work out what the order was, and I did not like it very much at all. So it saves us a significant amount of money in delivery times through consistent delivery patterns already worked out, and it saves us hours the day before in preparation to some unknown delivery thing. So if we already created some weird list somewhere where somebody had some list of, oh, this is the best delivery order, and then transpose that with the address labels, you imagine how much buggerizing around that would be. Okay, so it looks like we've now fixed that problem, and all the potential nightmares. So as far as everything goes, we have just got all problems solved, which is the nature of all of my programming. Okay, so moving along, and thank you for your patience. The rest is just merely a summary of some of the other different things that I've done. Now that you've got an idea of exactly the way I SWOT analyze and come up with the best solution of things, I can show you a few other little things just as tidbits on the way in hopefully the remaining 10 minutes, if you would be kind enough to give me. I've created an automatic script request system such that for our Medico pack patients, they have an A5 page attached to their packs, and I've got it selected out such that only scripts that are required for packing are actually included on that list. Okay, so in reality means is if they turned around and got an amoxil during the week, if we gave them the standard printout as far as what is the last repeat from our usual dispensing software provider, whoever that might be, that will say that we'll need some more amoxil, where we don't because it's not part of the pack. Having it such that we only include pack medications in the way that I've done there by the use of code makes it such that it's very simple and easy to work out. In fact, so easy to work out that it even highlights what ones that we have urgent needs and ones that we've got only a few left. We've had several customer complaints where people would come in for their amoxil, whatever like that, and we'd say, oh, by the way, we meant to tell you you needed levothyroxine before you next saw your doctor. They'll turn around and say, I've just been to the doctor, it's cost me $80, I'm not going back, bugger you, I'll go to a different pharmacy. And quite rightly so, because they don't have systems like, not knowing, I guess, that they don't have systems that we now have. So another thing that's interesting about this is this actually, my system only is coded to provide prescriptions for patients, prescription requests for patients that need to obtain their own prescriptions. So in other words, this list excludes anybody that has got doctors that actually going and are happy to go and write scripts for them, which are about a third of our patients. So we don't need to go and cause unnecessary angst and anxiety to customers that just had their doctor go and organise it for them. That saves us a lot of negative feedback and stress from our customers. A whole separate different report is sent to doctors in a whole separate format, saying, obviously saying, dear doctor, please provide scripts for these following patients and everything that you need there. Okay, so let's rip through in just that was 2 minutes of solutions there. Hopefully you shall enjoy the next 2 minutes also. Okay, receiving stock orders has always been a nightmare for us. It involves anywhere between about 20 odd pages, even so much as this many boxes that we've got here, which was from a new staff member that we've just got on trial the other day, who's somehow now got to navigate looking through our email, picking out, I think it was 16 different Sigma emails, all of which had 1 or 2 PDF attachments, all of which needed to be downloaded, and then all of which needed to be printed, and everything like that. Otherwise taking a good at least 20 minutes just in preparation to unpack the stuff. Okay, so with the so obviously you can see how I would have done a SWOT analysis on that and noted that that was a rather big concern, particularly when customers come in saying my medication should be here, and we go, oh, it should be in a box somewhere here. Now, bearing in mind this is towards the end of the month, so these boxes aren't too many, we would have twice as many probably in the middle of the month, and at least 3 times as much at the beginning of the month. So we would quite easily have a very time-consuming and burdensome way of trying to muddle through trying to find somebody's medication that we promised to have for them, and we'd be ploughing through each one of these boxes and making a hell of a job as far as that goes. So we needed a better solution, and here it is. Okay, so this is a stock receipt report that I received on the 17th of March, as you can see there. And as you can see, I've got several suppliers. I've got API and Sigma. Well, obviously, that's the best way to go and do it, is to go and have it ordered by the supplier first, because they've got different tote boxes. It's quite obviously then. And then, most importantly, the actual tote box. Sigma is a funny little demon, in the sense that you could actually go and order, say, 12 Ventolin on the one order, but you might get 6 in one tote box and 6 in another tote box, which is very kind of weird as far as all that goes. Yeah, so that's so ordering things by tote box is really the way to go, because what that means is instead of the staff members having to go and open up 6 boxes trying to find the 12 Ventolin, for instance, and mark it off the invoice that they found for it, they can just focus on one tote box at a time, leaving the other ones closed. Now, more important to do that, we can then go and look at, well, what's the most important tote box to even open? Well, the good thing is we've already got that covered, something a programmer may not even think of. In fact, I'm guaranteeing that they wouldn't. Okay, so you can see here the stock on hand is -1 for that one, -1 for that one, -2 for that. So they're obviously special orders. You can see that that's backed up by the fact that Sigma Connect. So you can tell right now that as far as the ones, the tote boxes that are the most important to go and open right now is obviously going to be this guy, and get that straight to the pharmacist, and also this guy, and get that straight to the pharmacist as well. So that means that we can prioritize opening which box first, and really get the most important things unpacked as quickly as possible, where we've got the added advantage of alerts for DDs. And another thing that you won't find on a Sigma invoice either is it's got the invoice and the order number included. Because if we are trying to look on our point of sale system for whether we did actually order Oxynorm, all we'll see is the order number, the order reference, but we won't necessarily see the invoice number. So you can see those different things being highlighted for you there, which is all very nice, but we've covered them all now. Okay, so we've only got a couple more minutes left of your time. Let's see what else we can do. Oh yes, of course, I've got to talk about this. This is my personal favourite. One of the things I really hate about Apotex, for instance, is that they will have APO atenolol, and they'll have atenolol APX. So that makes it very difficult when the pharmacist goes and says, hey, look, I'm out of Keflexin. Can you please go and grab some Keflexin? Because it could be, as somebody looks down the list of stuff there, it could be in APO Keflexin, or it could be in Keflexin APO. So that basically means an alphabetical list is kind of a bit bloody useless. Unless, of course, I've already gone to the trouble of recoding it such that it automatically picks up the fact that, oh, this is an APO thing that has come first. Let's go and pick this APO bit up and then rename it to atenolol APO. Okay, so that makes it very easy to work out, and such that we've got a proper alphabetical list, something that no programmer has ever done before, as just in the same way as that no programmer has ever done this stock receiving list either. Okay, so this is a massive time saver as far as marking off the stock. Okay, moving along, because I've only got another few minutes of your time, let's go back to John Citizen, our fictitious patient, don't forget, so please don't go and report me to APRA. Okay, so John Citizen, our fictitious patient, is, you can see the way that I've got our medscheck. So all the pharmacist needs to do to actually create a medscheck is dispense a product called medscheck. And what will happen then is that my system will generate a report of all the regular medications, irregular medications, and list it all out as such. So you can see regular medications are all together, then listed by the actual disease state with a bit of a light blurb. Say hormone treatments, medications that are taken long term to replace or balance hormones in the body to their normal levels. Antidepressants, medications that are taken long term to treat and prevent depression and anxiety, so to speak. Okay, so let's not go on about interactions and things like that. This is really only for the sake of demonstration, so don't worry about the interactions, any interactions between these guys and all that. Okay, so then we've got our levothyroxine. You'll notice now, one thing that I tend to make sure that I do is ensure that the most recent directions are actually there. So if we're talking about something like this, where that person started at about half a tablet at night, my system goes and selects that and works out the most recent directions with regard to amitriptyline and says 1 tablet at night. It shows when it was last dispensed, how many repeats left, even highlights it in red for you. Pretty damn bloody good. Now, they at some stage they would have had the premium brand, so that's actually written there as NDEP. So when somebody makes a conversion from a premium brand to now a generic, there's always a point of confusion and customer angst and anxiety as far as that goes. That's one of the reasons why we have medschecks, is to let people know that NDEP is amitriptyline. Okay. So yes, I've then got now I've created over the last 16 years a database of about I think it's somewhere between about 14 or 15,000 products where I've got little blurbs as far as all these things, like works by increasing levels of norepinephrine and serotonin, two neurotransmitters, and block the action of acetylcholine, another neurotransmitter, by restoring the balance in these neurotransmitters in the brain that depression may be alleviated. So basically just a bit of very quick blurb to go and explaining exactly what the hell that's for. Then I've got a nice little friendly thing saying finding the right antidepressant often takes time, blah blah blah, talk to your doctor if you're having any dramas. So as with about 15,000 products that you'll never see from any other programmer, because I'm a pharmacist and I've actually written all these things here, then I've got I've got a wealth of information that can be extracted for there. So say Lipitor, for instance, works by reducing the liver's production of cholesterol by blocking the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase, which the liver uses to make cholesterol, prevent heart disease and atherosclerosis. So yes, only just basically enough to hold their interest and give them a reason to continue making sure that they continue taking their medication. You'll notice here that since this fictional patient has only been taking the Lipitor brand, there's no reference to the generic name, because that would only cause confusion, angst and anxiety. You'll also notice in this particular case, this person has only had the generic, so there's no need to actually go and make any mention of what the premium brand would be, because that would only cause added anxiety. So this medschecks completely automated, which means that the pharmacist can spend more time actually explaining what's on the list, having direct eye contact, rather than having to sit there and type all this shit out. Okay, so as we can say, it's ordered by the regular medications, disease condition, last dispense directions are used, number of repeats noted, brief instructions what the medication is for and how it works. And guess what? We've even got warning labels like ask your doctor before taking any other medicines, where they apply. Okay, let's talk about another solution just as a bonus. We also do long-acting injection for buprenorphine. Now, one of the problems that we have with long-acting buprenorphine patients is they tend to shoot through or not have their stuff within the dosage window, and we have a lot of phone calls every single day, probably about half a dozen, where we had the caseworkers ringing up to say what's happened with John Citizen. Has he been coming in for his dose? Because they get a script for 3 or 6 months worth of buprenorphine and they never get seen or heard of again. So I've got an arrangement with Caboolture AODS that they get a weekly report of their clients that they've got enrolled with us as far as exactly what the situation is. So that highlights the status of each client, highlights if there's no repeats remaining, details both situations when a medication has been dispensed and when it's actually been administered. Both records are automatically uploaded to QScript. Okay, so even better than this particular client and get him to come and see the doctor, reevaluate his situation, see what the go is with that. In this case here, the Buvidal was out of the dosage window, so they'll obviously be wanting to check that person as well. And there's a new script required, so I guess with this person they'll be wanting to haul them in, get them a new script and get them back on the program as they should be. So that has made a huge difference with regard to eliminating the half a dozen phone calls that we've been getting from various mental health facilities asking when XYZ person actually had their dose. So now as far as this date calculation, it's different for Sublocade and Buvidal. We don't want to have our pharmacists sitting there working out how many days since when it was actually administered and all this kind of stuff. I do all the calculations for him. Don't worry, it's all done. Okay, so now I was quite surprised to see that I was not endorsed by my current software provider, but that's fine. I've been endorsed by my previous one, so much so that he nominated me for Pharmacist of the Year. And that would be Paul Naismith when he was the CEO and director of Fred IT Group. He endorsed me so much. Let's just have a read of exactly what he said. Paul had absolutely no problems at all with me reverse engineering his software. He thought it was bloody awesome. He said, and I quote, "Innovators are unique individuals. They see a problem and they think through a solution and then they work long and hard to achieve change. Steve is such an innovator. His innovation of on top of Fred Dispense and Fred POS is fantastic. He sees ways to make his pharmacy better and then sets out making ideas reality. His innovation on top of Fred Dispense and Fred POS is fantastic. His ability to focus on high-value add-ons such as reporting and shelf labels from the data collected in our systems is unique. Working in his pharmacy has been able to refine these solutions over time with a level of detail that only a pharmacist can provide. Well done, Steve. Now that's a pretty damn glowing endorsement from from when I used to use Fred as my software thing. This was back when PBS price reduction was a big thing. And we had all these other new brands like Aurobindo and everything like that, and people were getting confused about what to do. Staff were getting confused about whether, what supplier that you were going to too, because all of a sudden Pfizer decided to actually make it by direct. So we had to go and deal with making a situation such that when on the shelf tags, people could see straight away, oh, this is a Pfizer product. I'll have to put that on the Pfizer order. Now, if that endorsement isn't good enough, well, I guess we better look at our hospital. The director of pharmacy services at Logan Bow Desert saw the project I was doing with regard to patient reporting and efficiency there, and said that it would be a godsend for him. So he was pretty damn impressed when I actually showed him exactly the systems that I was very keen to go and implement across all pharmacies in the country for any software provider that would be interested in utilizing the software that I came up with, I believe, 15 years ago, a good, 7 years before anybody else did. Okay, so just in case that's not enough, of course, I was the first President's Award recipient ever. So, from a professional perspective, I think I've got my ethics covered. So I'm Steve Flavell. You can catch me on steveflavell.com.au. I'm a pharmacy specialist programmer and a solution specialist in the arena of pharmacy. I've got an extremely rare skill set. Being a pharmacy, having been a pharmacy owner and a programmer, I've got rare insight as is what is needed at grass level. There's not a pharmacist or software provider in the country that has achieved what I've just shown you that I've achieved. There isn't one. It just isn't. There may be certain add-ons and things that you can buy, but I just made them all up for free. Now I'm home-based. I've got several high-end computers with triple 4K monitors, which help me work at home efficiently. They've been crafted in my store from the ground floor requirements for greater efficiency, and basically what I'm saying is my solutions work. I know they work because I've been using them for nearly 16 years. But I'm really keen to contribute. I'd love to take my ideas far beyond what's currently is the case at just in one pharmacy and bring these to pharmacies right across Australia, helping all Australian pharmacies with their productivity. So these are my contact details: 0493231916, or go on my website steveflavell.com.au. I would suggest that you contact and contract me before the competition does, because I am pretty sure that somebody will. Okay, thanks very much for your time. I appreciate the effort that it's been for you to listen to this presentation, and I hope to hear from you again soon.